This morning, another 240 Shorten County Council workers joined the strike. They're members of the Municipal Employees Union Wages Division and include drivers, plant operators, gardeners and labourers. The salary division of the union will meet tonight. These are the office. The dispute has seen 1,400 workers off the job and disrupting the power supply. Both the Drayton and Bayswater open-cut mines in the Upper Hunter have been at a standstill. It's the first time there's been widespread and unanimous industrial action on key issues in the Shorten County Council. The unions have run the danger of appearing to
all that again, it was Jerry
for the workers
of information of a confidential nature.
The council is the method employed by the
as you probably aware,
and Torres for his dismissal.
Using council premises.
Shorten County Council, Alderman Kevin Evans,
I am satisfied personally
that the investigations will
and
continue.
I can confidently say.
Which brings us to the question of the cost of such a private investigation. Industry sources within the private investigation business we spoke to this afternoon indicated that for one investigator for 6 months, the cost would be as high as $20,000. The unions would have us believe that anything up to 6 or 7 investigators were working on the case at one time, all in a period when the Shorten County Council is looking at rationalising its operation. The task force met with health and social workers from Newcastle, Taree and the Upper Hunter today. They're seeking local information on the problem, which is described as the sleeping giant of Australia's sex crime. The task force has compiled a consultation paper, which, when amended after further discussion, made the basis of a report to the state government. Premier Rand has promised to bring the matter to Cabinet early next year, with a view to introducing new legislation and more money to treat the victims of child sexual abuse.
It's a lot more prevalent than we originally thought. What we're looking at now, if we base it on American statistics, is that 1 in 6 families there will be a child sexually assaulted by a member of that family or their affinity group. And if you look at just the broad spectrum of child sexual abuse generally, you're looking at 1 in 4 women having had a child sexual assault experience by the time they reach 18. Now, they're very frightening figures.
You obviously feel very passionately about this. Why?
I'm a victim of a child sexual assault experience, and I kept it quiet for about 15 years.
The Queensland Ballet's been coming to Newcastle for about 3 or 4 years now, and it seems to me they just keep getting better and better. Indeed, I don't think anyone could have wished for a more exciting night of ballet than we got at the Civic Theatre last night. It was terrific too to see the company choose 3 modern ballets by Australian choreographers and to perform them so magnificently. I thought the 3 ballets went together particularly well too. The evening started with the gentle abstract ballet Landscapes and continued with the pretty, sadly romantic and exquisitely danced Summer Solstice, the story of 2 friends in love with the same girl. Then the temperature of the evening rose dramatically with Carmina Burana, which was a real knockout, a gutsy, earthy ballet that's full of drama, sensuality and colour. The aggressive and athletic tavern scene in the middle of the ballet, which is a real showpiece for the male dancers, was an obvious favourite with the audience, and indeed it would have been worthwhile going to the Queensland Ballet just for that. But fortunately it was one of those evenings where you got your money's worth from beginning to end.
Although some issues at today's meeting were closed, one that was raised carried over from September, when it was announced 29 NESCA apprentices would be retrenched.
The issue was raised again today by the elected trade union
termination.
in the address to council.
And I've been ex-president of the employed.
They could fill.
There's about 17 armour wear-off, and they're in all areas: transformer maintenance, engineering, workshops. If those vacancies are filled by the appropriate or the qualified people, then of course the apprentices could fill in their places, which would be electrical tradesmen or whatever. So we believe there are vacancies and they should be filled.
Do you feel the council hasn't done its homework?
Well, I'm not sure. I think they've made a pretty quick decision on the facts in front of them. I believe that they should have been more careful, probably.
What hopes do you hold that the apprentices will be retained?
I hope that all 29 of them will be re-employed, but I'm pretty sure that some 20 of them probably will.
The reason the New South Wales Government is spending $250,000 on this promotion is obvious. Since 1976, there's been a double-digit growth rate of Japanese tourists to Australia, with 80% of those coming to New South Wales. Japanese Airlines and Qantas have both agreed to increase the number of flights between Australia and Japan. A number of seminars have been held with the Japanese travel industry, and the Minister for Tourism, Mr Cleary, is confident that the promotion will encourage even more Japanese to come to our shores. The Minister has also been exploring the area of Japanese investment in the state's tourism industry, saying that he will be negotiating with the Premier to set aside parcels of land for these foreign investors. Mr Cleary says a recent report compiled on the investment potential for tourism in New South Wales by the Japanese is positive and encouraging.
Regard New South Wales and Australia as a bigger potential than the Canadian market. And in discussions I had in Nagoya, the gentleman even indicated that he was looking for potential tourist sites, development sites on our north coast, and he mentioned the Newcastle area. And I then tried to find out whether he was talking about the industrial side of it or the seaside, and I mentioned Port Stephens, and he said that's what he was after. So it's anything from Newcastle all the way up the coast fine. So it was very enlightening, and to get a report that says that New South Wales is the place for the overseas visitors, particularly the Japanese, who spend more money per head than any other visitor from overseas, I think is good news for us.
They range in prices from this one at $900 and this one, which in mint condition can fetch up to $1,500, to many others valued at up to $3,000. Preparations are still underway for the bottle fair, which will have 300 individual displays. One of the major attractions will be an antique bottle auction, where over $50,000 worth of items will be offered for sale tomorrow. In the competition held among collieries operated by Coal and Garnite. A series of tests were set up at the company's training workshop at Aboriginal East Colliery, which involved both team and individual events. In one test, the fire was lit in a can, and the fireman had to decide on the fire only one section of the whole test, which was also against the clock. Today's was the first firefighting competition to be held among colliery teams in the northern region. Training manager Peter Halverson said it accomplishes a great deal.
Well, the men train at their own mine as a team. The training obviously in the last 2 weeks has been very intensive. Basically the training is the training that's required by the Coal Mines Regulation Act, but we do additional training to get them to a higher level of skill, and you would normally be able to get through standard training.
The day, however, was also a family affair, with food and drink available and at least one diversion for the children.
I love the concept of Almost a Lady, a return to the sleazy and decadent German cabaret scene of the 1930s, where men were women and women were men, or almost. The Workers' Club and Helen Duncan Promotions have created a good atmosphere, transforming the Mary Gilmore Room into the Catacomb Club, complete with lit-up catwalk, and the buffet meal that accompanied the show was really rather good.
Don't mind the hour, 'cause we're in power. We got bail if we got a jail. I mean, this Johnny jumping. Johnny jumping. Really jumping. We're all buns in the wagon truck. I mean, this Johnny jumping.
Many degrees. And I got the feeling that with a big boost of enthusiasm from the performers, they could have got away with a lot more than they did.
The awards were presented to men and women who have made numerous blood donations to the Maitland Red Cross Blood Bank in the past year. In presenting the awards, Director of the Newcastle Blood Transfusion Service, Dr. Sandra Devery, commended the 90 recipients for their support. She also stressed the importance of giving blood.
Well, our voluntary blood donors are the backbone of the blood transfusion services in this country. Less than 2% of the total community are blood donors, and they provide all the blood and blood products to provide the medical services as we know them to the whole community.
The only reason I'm still here today and not on my way to Tahiti is that, like most of you, I didn't get the numbers right last night either, but then I had plenty of company. There were 2.6 million coupons in last night's lotto. 19 of them had the right combination. 3 of the winners came from the north, a couple from Argenton, a family syndicate from Rankin Park that had 100 coupons in, and a Systems 10 entry, a syndicate of 20 from Maitland Park Bowling Club. The syndicate members apparently celebrated till about 3 a.m. this morning, which explains why they were lying pretty low today. Each winning syndicate will receive a little over $260,000. Maybe disappointing some who dreamed of being instant millionaires. Flew in the end of the CAB and about $10 million was paid back in 5 minutes, leaving a worthwhile profit for the state and the lotto organisers. Next week's lotto probably won't produce the same rush there was in the tantalising 5 million jackpot, but doubtless there'll be plenty of punters trying to get the right numbers, and there are losers who cheer for the biggest. Mainly, I think.
From the Anti-Discrimination Board addressed the group today on the objectives of the working. She says a regional office of the board is being established in Newcastle because the people are more. Ms. Nolan says the group's most disadvantaged in Newcastle is the working women. Whether they be of English, Australian or Asian origin. But how does the board help those who feel they are being discriminated?
No. People can file complaints with us. They can file them in any language. When the complaint's filed, it is confidentially investigated, checked out. If it checks out, if it's substantiated, then we can call a conciliation conference and try to fix the matter up. I think there are all kinds of remedies under our law. This morning I spoke to a woman, she wanted her job back. I've just heard she's got it back. So that we can move quickly in a number of situations. If we're not successful, as sometimes we aren't, the matter can be referred to an equal opportunity tribunal, which has the powers of a Royal Commission to investigate and award damages up to $400,000. But sometimes damages are even higher than that because they're privately negotiated and settled.
The Eddy Memorial Lecture is in honour of Mr. Harry Eddy, who died in 1973 after making a major contribution to the field of adult education. Eddy Memorial Lecturers are people who, it is felt, have made major contributions to human understanding and tolerance in Australian society. Dr. Cairns, who, since retiring from politics, has spent much of his time exploring non-political avenues for human progress, delivered a lecture titled Biological Wellbeing and the Foundations of the New Age. One of the issues raised was the need for social change and the way it could be brought about by removing repression from adults and children in the years when human behaviour was developed and completed.
Some houses in Glenelg and Torres have been surrounded by water, forcing some to use sandbags to try to protect their homes. Precious possessions such as this vintage Chrysler 6 car needed to be preserved, and so this bulldozer had to be employed to protect it. A spokesman from the SES says the peak is now at Hinton, and he says there is a possibility that the Hunter River may break its banks there. Buses in Newcastle are mistakes About 40 Newcastle businessmen attended the seminar, at which 5 of the Hunter Valley's top managers discussed how they have coped in tough economic times. The idea behind the seminar was to provide assistance to businessmen by showing techniques which have helped to lift the performance and secure the employment of the workforces of several successful organisations. Topics covered included technological innovations, providing competitive bases, employee relations, and the development of managers and supervisors. A similar business management seminar will be held on November the 22nd.
Good morning everyone and welcome. It was my intention to talk about beneficial finance corporations' deferred interest debentures, but I'm leaving that till next week for a very important reason, the reason being the current issue of Northern Territory bonds. Now, in the case of the current loan, interest rates range from 12.3% up to 13%, and don't forget we're talking about a Commonwealth Government guaranteed investment. We're also talking about an initial minimum investment of just $100. And we're also talking about, once again, buying them on the lay-by scheme, as I frequently say. Now, in this particular case, you can put down a 10% deposit and pay off the balance up to the 22nd of February 1985. Now, this is a wonderful way of allowing for investments that might be maturing, say, over the next month or two, and it's a wonderful way also to put money aside or to allocate certain sums in a particular security, like the Northern Territory bonds. If, for example, you're coming up for retirement and you know that you've got a lump sum superannuation payment coming in December or January or before the 22nd of February, and you can then take advantage of the high interest rates that are currently being offered, and as I said, by lay-buying, by putting down that 10% deposit, you will secure your total investment. Now, the other point to remember is this. You've got a wide choice of terms, 2 years, 4 years, 7 years, 10 years. And this is very, very important, once again, for people who are planning for their retirement. We're buying some Northern Territory bonds for a very important reason. One, our superannuation fund, and two, because we believe that interest rates, allowing for the odd hiccup, will fall sometime after, say, April or May of next year. Anyhow, go and get the prospectus as fast as you can, and you can obtain a prospectus through the Commonwealth Bank, and you can obtain a prospectus through local stockbrokers. And I again remind you, the minimum investment is just $100. I'll see you next week.